Do you love TV shows? We do too. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and we're the hosts of We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're searching for a new favorite series or ready to revisit an old classic, we're here to guide you through an infinite world of TV shows.
Each episode, we watch and discuss the pilot for shows, while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storyline.
So if you're tired of endlessly scrolling and not sure what to watch next, tune in and let us do the searching for you.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hey, how's it going?
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May. It is May.
It is May. We are recording this on the 1st of May.
And it is May.
And we are pretty excited for this month. It's out of all the months, this has been the most, this has stood out the most out of all the months, out of all the themes we've done so far, just because this is so different than everything we've ever watched. Not in life, just for the podcast.
And I think you picked out some interesting ones.
Yeah.
I came up with the theme of it, but I left it. I had made some initial suggestions.
Yeah.
Because I think you initially thought I meant like Saturday cartoons, and I was like, no.
Just animation in general.
Yeah, I was like
primetime.
Yes, I was like
animation.
Shows that were a weekly show
Yeah.
or like some sort of staple on
Right.
that channel. And you were like, wow, okay, yeah, let me roll with it. And you dug out some really good ones. And
Yeah.
it was obviously a lot that I have not seen
Right.
before.
Well, it just seemed... Yeah, it was tricky trying to... It was difficult not to just kind of go with the standards of adult animation. It was
Yes.
really... I mean, we do have those for this month, but...
Yes.
Originally, I just kind of like the original list that I made. I'm like, oh, these are all
Sort of the same
kind of the
genre.
same thing. Yeah, it was all like Fox, Matt Groening, like that whole era of Mike Judge and all of those other animators that were really popular in the 90s and early 2000s. And I was like, let's add a little bit more variety. And I kind of surprised myself a little bit with
you
kind of
dug
the stuff
deep.
that I found.
And I think with streaming, it also expanded that kind of animation into different kinds of storytelling as well. So.
Yeah, so we're this month we're gonna have different genres, we're gonna have different eras, but it would feel silly not to start this month off with the show that kind of put adult animation into the mainstream.
Oh yeah.
It was the first show that I was not allowed to watch. It was the first show that, like, really, adult animation wise, was the first to really enter pop culture and become its own thing. And of course, I mean, we're talking about The Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Basically the show that, you know, that helped build Fox and turn it into a popular network, because this was the first hit on the Fox network, because that, compared to the other network channels, Fox was like the new kid in town at the time, especially in the late 80s. And there really weren't a lot of like edgy shows, and Fox's was kind of originally like the edgy channel when it came to prime time.
Yeah, I definitely felt like they were the channel that were willing to take that risk because they had nothing to lose against the big three networks.
Right.
Like they were like, we'll try it because they're sort of too conservative, too chicken to put it out there, but we can do that. So I think that was one of Fox's kind of calling cards.
Oh yeah, big time. I think it was like this and Married with Children were kind of the first two, you know, live action animated, but first two shows to really kind of put Fox on the map, and then other shows followed. And it's really interesting with the shows that, like, when I was looking up shows that were on Fox, I'm like, I didn't realize that was on Fox. I guess I just was never thinking about it, but I was just like, because it's funny, because there are some shows where I'm like, that doesn't seem like a Fox show, or that seems like an NBC show, but then Fox is now just another channel.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, like, it's just kind of how it works. It's just really funny that, like, this show was considered so controversial when it came out, and then you have a show like Beavis and Butthead or South Park, which like really push the envelope because it was cable network, so they could get away with more stuff. But yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Once again, I'm gonna say this, but I don't know how long these episodes are gonna be. Majority of the episodes were 22-minute long episodes, and a lot of them are very, especially with The Simpsons, you can just kind of tell that even with the animated show, you can tell when like they still haven't quite figured out what kind of show they were gonna be. And you can kind of tell when you watch the first episode of The Simpsons, it really just seemed like they were trying to make just like an animated family sitcom. And they were just trying to make it, as kind of mainstream as possible, probably to get picked up. So we'll get into all that, but Anna's going to do what.
We'll talk about the pilot a little bit more, but I was just wondering, like, initially, was this supposed to actually be a long-running show, or was this going to just be a holiday special?
So you'll talk about it in the episode and series information, but this Simpsons is technically a spinoff from the Tracey Ullman Show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Tracey, they would show these short animated clips of this like dysfunctional family. I don't even know if they had a name on the show, on the Tracey Ullman Show.
Oh gosh, I remember that.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead and do the episode and series information. We'll get into all that.
All right, The Simpsons. Simpsons roasting on an open fire. The Simpsons is an American animated sitcom that premiered on Fox on December 17th, 1989. We are currently in the show's 36th season, with an episode total of 789 when the season ends this year. The series was created and developed by Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, and Sam Simon. Groening worked on The Tracey Ullman Show, which is where The Simpsons first appeared in the form of short animation clips. Brooks was a creator for The Tracey Ullman Show, which is where the two met. Simon worked with Brooks on Taxi and came on as an animator and helped develop the characters. The Simpsons centers around the titular family and their everyday lives in Springfield. The state they live in is never revealed.
Yeah, it kind of is an ongoing joke.
Well,
in
fact,
show.
When the movie came out, I don't even know if you remember this, they were doing a contest where they were going to host the premiere of the movie in towns called Springfield.
Gotcha.
And our Springfield, Louisiana, submitted to be one of them.
Okay.
They were, I think, I'm going to make it up, but I think they were like either in the final 5 or the final 3, but I don't think they were picked.
Yeah.
I think I would have remembered that, but they were in the finals.
I didn't know that. I was living in Florida when the movie came out, so I kind of missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember that going like, wow, oh my gosh.
I forgot about the movie.
Many of the voice actors on the show play multiple characters. So we will just include the characters that were involved in the pilot. Dan Castellaneta as Homer Simpson, Grandpa Simpson and Barney Gumble, Julie Kavner as Marge Simpson and Patty and Selma, Marge's sisters, Nancy Cartwright as Bart Simpson, Yardley Smith as Lisa Simpson, Hank Azaria as Moe, Harry Shearer as Principal Skinner and Ned Flanders, and Pamela Hayden as Milhouse Van Houten and Rod Flanders. The Simpsons was almost an immediate hit. It became the first hit show for the Fox network and brought adult animation into the mainstream. It's not only the longest running animated series of all time, but the longest running primetime sitcom of all time. The series has been nominated for a total of 79 primetime Emmys, winning 36 of them. You can currently watch the entire series on Disney Plus and Hulu.
Yeah, if you really want to watch all 800 episodes.
Start now.
I mean, yeah. So it's always difficult because when I wrote it's the longest running animated series of all time. There's always the big debate of the difference between anime and animated shows, because technically the longest running animated show is an anime called One Piece that has like 1,100 episodes or something like that. It's been around since like 1999. But yeah, so I kind of feel like anime is a little different. It's different format. It's from a different origin. So we can just say Simpsons is the longest running American animated TV show of all times. So yeah, what did you... I know it's kind of tough because it's 22 minutes. It's an animated show. It came out on Christmas, during Christmas time, which is very...
Well, that's why I was asking, like, I wonder if it was initially intended to be like a Christmas special that they then were like, wow, everyone loved it.
Maybe.
I don't remember because...
I mean, obviously I don't either, but like maybe because I think I saw that the second episode came out like a month after, so maybe they had stuff, but I mean, like, you had to have already had that ready to go, so I mean, like, maybe they just... I seriously doubt they thought the show was going to last 36 seasons and still going. But I think maybe the intention was to be a series. But yeah, it felt very much like this episode was kind of like a standalone. It really did kind of feel like a Christmas special, like a 30-minute Christmas special, which, I mean, those were a dime a dozen, especially in the 80s and 90s. We would get Christmas specials for anything and everything.
Yeah, so, I mean, I thought it was really cute, obviously. I mean, I love seeing the characters in, like, kind of their original pilot form because they look, obviously, they've changed a little bit. I mean, they still look the same, but a little, like,
well, the animation has gotten a lot more advanced.
So I thought it was a cute pilot. I mean, we were laughing at stuff, and so I think it served its purpose. And now that you brought up the Tracey Ullman Show, I totally remember that. I forgot that was the connection, that's how it came up. So that's also pretty amazing, because I remember Tracey Ullman in the 80s. She had her quirky video, and I kind of think of her, this might be a stretch, I don't know if you'll agree, but I kind of think of like Tracey Ullman as like the Helena Bonham Carter of like MTV, of like music. She's like that quirky, crazy hair, like crazy characters that she used to do. And
she was kind of her own, she was kind of like, not the first of her kind, but I always kind of considered her like the Carol Burnett of like the 90s.
Oh, that's a good
that's a good one, because she had the Tracey Ullman Show, but then she had like Tracy Takes On, and then she was in a bunch of movies in the 90s, and she's hilarious. I've always thought that I often forget that she's British. I often forget that she's not American, just because, I don't know, maybe she just played American in my world, so I just didn't think about it. But
so I think it's just funny that show was the launching pad for this,
right?
Yeah, so I forgot that connection.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I watched The Simpsons pretty much throughout my entire childhood, teenage, early adulthood. I watched a lot of The Simpsons, mostly in syndication. I very rarely remember sitting down on a Sunday night. Sunday night just wasn't a TV watching night for me. Maybe, I don't know why, but I don't remember like these Sunday night shows. I'm like, I was watching TGIF, and then after that I was done with TV for the rest of the week. So I mean, like, I kind of wasn't watching The Simpsons on Sunday night, but I was definitely watching. It used to come on Fox every day at like 5 o'clock or something like that, and I would just watch reruns, me and my sister. It's just really interesting that how, with animation and with any show that you watch that's animated and that was around for a really long time, when you first hear everyone's voice, you can tell they were trying to still figure it out.
Yes.
The voices were so different. Like the voice of Mr. Burns was unrecognizable. I think it was by a completely different person. I don't even think I credited them because they were uncredited. I don't even know who does the voice I don't know which actor does the voice for Mr. Burns, but it wasn't the guy that that did for this episode. And then kind of hearing, I think Marge was the most one that I was like, oh, she changed her voice a lot. It just sounded like, I think Julie Kavner was trying to do a voice, and then she just started using her own voice like Yardley Smith does.
Yes.
Because it feels like Julie Kavner just was using her regular voice throughout most of the show. Julie Kavner, by the way, I don't know if have you ever seen
Twilight Zone? She's in the Twilight Zone, wasn't she?
Was
the
she
movie?
Nancy Cartwright was. I think.
Oh, that's who I'm thinking
of.
Yes,
Nancy Cartwright was the girl in the Catholic school
dress.
uniform.
Yeah, that I got it mixed up.
But yeah, Julie Kavner was in a movie in a 90s movie called This Is My Life about a stand-up comedian, and it was Samantha Mathis and Gabby Hoffman and Dan Aykroyd were in it.
Oh.
And it's Julie Kavner plays like a comedian that like has like a sudden rush of fame, and it's like the effects that it has on her two daughters, and that's Samantha Mathis and Gabby Hoffman. It's actually a really good movie, and it's actually a really good kind of story about like the cost of fame and like how badly do you want to be famous? Are you going to kind of not throw your kids away, but just kind of like leave your kids behind so you can finally get what you want? It's a really good movie. I know it's kind of off topic, but it was a really good movie. It just, anytime I talk about Julie Kavner, I always think of that movie just because it was really kind of an underrated like dramedy.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the pilot was, I've seen this episode many times. I didn't know that it was the first episode until we watched it together. When you watch stuff in syndication, you don't know the episode order.
And that's why I think I was confused when we started watching it, because I mean, we'll talk about it actual debuting and Christmas and all of whether I watched it here in just a second, but that's why I was confused. It sort of seemed like a Christmas special, and then maybe it got a lot of like good reviews, and they were like, "Oh, we could make this into an actual show."
Yeah, maybe. Yes, I don't know about that. But so did you watch The Simpsons at any point in time?
Oh yeah, I think, and then one of the things that kind of developed that became one of their little things was Bart writing on the classroom board.
Yeah.
You would watch it literally every week to see what he was writing.
Writing on the board, yeah.
I mean, it just became the pop culture thing of what was Bart in trouble for in school, and you would see what he wrote, and it was always just funny. So that was just one of the things, and that kind of became a trope, and maybe it was a trope in other shows, but it kind of became a trope, I think, in shows like Friends on the dry erase board and Joey and Chandler's apartment. They would do that, so I kind of think that that's something cute that was memorable
that's
about
funny.
that.
I totally forgot about the opening credits for The Simpsons, because it was it would always change what Bart was writing on the chalkboard in detention, and then it would change every episode to all of them going to the couch.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, they would all be a different way of them. It was, I don't know how to describe it, but like at the end they all gathered around on the couch and watched TV, and it would just be different every time. Sometimes they would be like walking on the ceiling and the wall. Sometimes they would just like teleport there, and it was I totally forgot about that. I totally forgot about the opening credits just because we didn't see it.
Well, right, because that's what I was saying, was that it didn't have like real official opening credits on this show. That's why it sort of seems like we always say, like, shows we've already done, like Little House on the Prairie. It was like a movie, and then maybe they decided to make it into, I mean, obviously with, we don't know what was going on, but it didn't sort of seem like a pilot.
Yeah.
It just seemed like a Christmas special.
Because then the next episode is Bart the Genius, where he cheats on like an IQ test, and they think that he's a genius.
Yeah.
I always thought that was the first episode.
Well, right.
But technically
this
one is, which is, I mean, it's a holiday special, which it's very unique that a show would premiere during the holidays, especially during Christmas. But I mean, especially in the late 80s, we weren't on our phones. We didn't have phones. We didn't have internet. So all we had to do was sit down and watch TV. So yeah. I watched a lot of The Simpsons. I watched, my sister and I were big fans. We still quote certain things from The Simpsons today. Our favorite character was Ralph Wiggum.
Aww.
He was our favorite. And it's funny because he was in this episode, but a completely different voice, a completely different, like, character. He kind of steals the show at some point in time, kind of like what Butters did on South Park, just kind of came in and just kind of became the favorite. And my sister and I used to quote him constantly. And oh yeah, we were a big Simpsons fan, but I was originally not allowed to watch it because I think what my mom was always, I feel like my mom was always like kind of being told, not that this is going to sound like my mom was just doing what she was being told by other parents, but like I think she had read or like been told that The Simpsons was like a really inappropriate show.
Oh, and that's what it was. Totally. Bart was sassy.
Yeah, and that it was like, you know, it wasn't good for kids. And I remember like my mom just being really strict on what we watched. And then I think what my mom had to do, and this happened with Beavis and Butthead as well, she did not want me to watch that. She just had to watch an episode with us. Yes. And then she was just like, oh, this is harmless. Like, this is just... I'll never forget showing her Beavis and Butthead. I was like, sit down.
She was laughing.
I was like, sit down and watch it with me. And if you still agree that it is an inappropriate show for me to watch, I will not. I would have still watched it, but like, I will not blatantly outwardly watch it. And so she sat down and watched an episode with me, and she was just dying laughing. Same thing with The Simpsons. She was just cracking up, and because Mom has a very silly sense of humor, just like me and my sister do. So like, you know, we were just like, it's funny. Like, we're not modeling ourselves after Bart. We're not modeling ourselves after Beavis and Butthead. We just think it's a funny show. And then I think my mom, once that happened, my mom got a lot more lenient with like what we were allowed to watch. And I think that's when she stopped listening to other people and was just like, let me decide if this is appropriate. And she did. And things got a lot more lenient with what we were allowed to watch.
I was obviously at a different point in life.
Right.
I was 20 when this show came out, so you were much younger than I was, and I was in college. And I'm kind of with you on the Sunday. I know I watched it. I don't know if I regularly watched it. Sundays were oftentimes for me like sorority meeting night, and so, or officer meeting night, so I was usually super busy on Sunday nights, which is kind of weird, but I know I watched it. I if it was even, you know, might have been reruns, or we might have recorded it and then watched it later. But I really do remember regularly seeing that chalkboard and wanting to know what he was going to, you know, what he had gotten in trouble for, and wanting to see it. So it was always funny. Those were kind of some of the Simpsons memories for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I completely forgot about the movie. I forgot that there was a movie. Yeah. I went and saw it in theaters. I loved it. Yeah, that's funny. All right, so this takes place during Christmas, and I don't think we've ever really had a Christmas discussion on here before.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the closest thing was The Crown when they went to their Christmas house on The Crown. But do you have any... This is supposed to be like a Christmas they'll always remember because they get a dog. And are there any Christmases that stick out in your mind, good or bad?
Yes. So I am actually going to tell you, when I was reading my intro, the date is particularly important to me because this was the year my father died. Oh, okay. And we were in Euless, Texas that December. My sister and her husband at the time, who's different than her husband now, had invited my mom to come to spend the holidays with them in Texas, just because they didn't want her to be alone after my dad had died. So I was in college, and I had gotten a ride with a friend over from Monroe to Dallas. That's where my sister was living. And so that was December. It was literally about a month after my dad had passed away. And I think we were kind of at a point where we were trying to have joy in our life. I don't think I watched this actual episode, so I'm not going to say, oh yeah, we watched The Simpsons, because I don't think we did. I do remember that we went to see Christmas Vacation that year. And it was really kind of one of the first times that my mom kind of laughed and kind of felt like it was okay to have joy again, because my mom was very much a traditionalist of, like, you need to mourn. There's a mourning period, and not to be all heavy and stuff. But I remember going to a sorority party after my father had died, and my mom was just very appalled by it. And I was just like, Mom, I can be sad about Dad passing away, but I can also just continue living life. And I think my mom learned a big lesson in that because, my mom didn't get married again, which was fine, but I think she really struggled with how to move on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was a memorable one. But for Christmases, we always had, fun family Christmases. My dad would oftentimes be in town.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like any special ones that you and I have had. I think we pretty much have low key Christmases. Yeah. I'm trying to think specifically. What about you? Do you have any that you can think of?
Well, the thing with Christmas, maybe I've talked about this before, but the thing with Christmas for me was I wasn't a huge fan of it when I was a kid, and it had nothing to do. It had all to do with just the fact that like I knew, especially when my parents were married, that Christmas Day.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Christmas Day was going to be we wake up very early Christmas morning and open presents, and then we would probably have breakfast of some kind, and then we would immediately drive to Zachary and spend the afternoon with my dad's side of the family, and then we would immediately drive to Warwick and spend Christmas with my mom's side of the family. And I just always just wanted to just be at home, and Christmas was just a very like stressful, full day that I didn't necessarily enjoy when I was a kid. It
kind of sounds like it was a chore.
Yeah, like, it was. A chore is a very good word to describe it.
I think you and I like had very sort of different ways in life like that, particularly after my dad died. So that's kind of a significant thing that I was just talking about, where when you and I got married, I was very used to not having holidays because we were all in different parts, and your family is still very much about, we do Christmas, we do Christmas Eve, we have Easter. And again, love it all. If y'all are listening, we love all of those things. But I wasn't used to that because we had stopped that a long time ago in my family. And like I've mentioned, I don't have a lot of extended family nearby where you do or did.
Yeah. Especially when I was a kid, I had a lot of family that still lived in Louisiana and that would come into town.
On both sides of your family. On both
sides of the family, it was very, it was always very eventful. And then as I got older, it became more of, still, it would be like Christmas Eve at my dad's house, Christmas morning at my mom's house, and we would still do Zachary and Warwick. It was just still much of the same, pretty much until I graduated high school, until Christmas finally became like a Christmas Eve at my dad's house, and I would visit my mom on Christmas, and then I would just go home. And that was always like what I wanted to do. So yeah, that was definitely Christmases that kind of stick out to me are usually because it was like I got a significant present that I wasn't expecting to get. I think that would probably be the only real kind of Christmas that sticks out to me. When Christmas Story style, when I got my Red Ryder BB gun when I was like 8 or something like that. And then I think I was in like 6th grade, and I remember asking for a TV for my room, and I just remember I knew that was like a big ask, and so I was like not really expecting it. I wasn't like really expecting to get it. And so we're opening all the presents. I don't have any like big presents, so I knew I wasn't getting a TV. And so I was just like, okay, well, I'm glad with what I got. I got like movies and stuff like that, and probably like a new set of rollerblades or something. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with all this. And then I remember like, cause it was before my dad had gotten remarried and he was still single. And so he would come over to my mom's house on Christmas morning. And so my mom and my dad were just kind of like, Jeff, do you like all your presents? I was like, yeah, I like all my presents. And he's like, well, we got one more for you. It's like, okay. And they come out with this big box. Just to let everyone know, it was a 12-inch TV VCR combo. I did not get, this is still the 90s. I got a very
reasonable,
off-brand. Like, it was, reasonably priced. I wasn't getting like this huge TV for my room, but it was a 65-inch flat screen in my mind. It was like I want to say I started crying. I was so happy because I finally had a TV in my room.
Aww.
Because it just didn't. I had one in Central, but it was like a really, really old TV, and it was like a hand-me-down. My dad owned an electronics store that he had to close down, so we got a lot of the leftovers. So even though we didn't have a lot of money, we had all of this kind of technology, cool stuff. And then when we moved, I don't know what happened to that TV. Maybe it like went to my dad's house or something like that. But yeah, I had my little 12-inch TV VCR until I moved to Florida. So that stayed in my room. That same TV stayed in my room until I was like 21.
Wow.
So it lasted. And I think it lasted, until I donated it to Goodwill.
So I will talk a little bit about my gifts.
Okay.
So some of the funny things about me is I am very practical, and I also was somewhat aware of my parents' financial limitations.
Yeah.
They were not shy about telling us we were not going to get a car when we turned 16 or we just were not going to get those kind of big gifts. Again, whatever the electronics were of the time. But in high school, once my sister moved out in around 1981, 82, after she got married in 83, my mom kind of came to me and said, like, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I don't know, like clothes and stuff like I usually get. Again, I never asked for a lot of things. And my mom was just like, well, would you just rather me give you the money and then we go shopping after Christmas because things are on sale? So you would you would actually probably get more clothes than you would before. And I was like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So really, from like around 1982 or 83, like that was always our deal. And then, so even funnier, when I moved home in law school, so mind you, I was around 25, 26-ish after living in Monroe for about 8 years during college and post-college. Christmas, again, was still sort of the same.
Yeah.
But then my mom was always like, well, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? And again, I was an adult by then, buying my own things, trying to, not live off of my mom. And again, I know I was living in her home, but again, I was buying my own groceries, my own transportation and stuff like that. And I would tell her, I'm like, will you just get me tampons and shampoo and, the stuff that you have to buy, but you don't want to because that's not really what you want to spend your money on as a 25-year-old.
Right.
And my friends in law school thought I was crazy. And I was just like, but I need it. I need shampoo. I need tampons, and I hate spending my money on it, but my mom would like supply me with like 6 months of tampons, and she would buy me what she thought was fancy shampoo, which I actually have in the shower right now, is Pantene.
Nice.
So she got me the Pantene shampoo and conditioner, like 2 or 3 bottles of each. And we would come back after break in law school, and my friend Alex would be like, well, what'd you get for Christmas? And I was like, I got some tampons and some shampoo and conditioner and some like new body wash. And it was like Dove, not like Bath and Body or anything. Right. And my friend Alex would be like, that is like some weird shit to get for Christmas. And I'm like, but I'm going to use it. Yeah. And I actually need it. And so I've always been very practical like that. Again, you and I exchange gifts, but we're very limited. We both enjoy much more spending time with one another. I think even the parentals, when they ask us, we're both like, cash, an Amazon gift card.
Cash, Amazon gift card.
Even this year, Tyler was like, whoa, how do I get cash? And
you asked for it.
You asked for it. I think next year we'll see Tyler getting cash for Christmas because, again, I'm very particular with my clothes.
Same.
Like picking out my own things. So I think it's kind of interesting that both you and I did not ever really expect huge things. We maybe wanted a couple of things, but we were always very happy with what we got. And so
I think throughout most of my life, throughout most of my youth, I asked for movies and CDs. I think that was like the only thing, because I was like, I'll use those. Those will be utilized plenty. I think looking back on it now, I would always hate it when I would get like clothes, or I would still probably feel that way. But yeah, I'm a lot like you in that I would rather buy my own things, and I am very particular about my clothes. I am very particular about things fit me differently. I'm shaped in a way that clothes do not fit. Clothes fit weird on me. I'm a short dude, and I'm average build, so finding the right pair of pants, finding the right kind of shirt, finding the right kind of dress shirt, it's kind of, it all varies.
You gotta figure it out versus like your mom going to buy you one, or Shelly. Even if I think you told them what you wanted, it just might not be exactly what you want. So I like how we do our gifts. And again, I think you and I like having shared experiences rather than buying more stuff for the house.
Yeah.
So
I'm much more of, I would rather just spend the money. Well, one, it's really hard to buy you gifts. I mean, like, you're a very difficult person to buy gifts for, because I know if you want something, you're just going to get it yourself. And also, like, you're not really a jewelry person. You're not really a makeup person. You're not really like, you have your own like sense of style. You like to buy your own clothes. And so I'm just kind of like, I kind of just have to like be creative with it a lot of the times. And I think I do an okay job.
You surprise me every year. So I love it.
So you want to get into this pilot summary?
Let's do it.
All right. So I told you before we recorded, I had kind of typed as I went, just thinking about what happened in the pilot summary. It's a little longer than I was expecting it to be, considering it was 22 minutes. So I will shorten this to the best of my abilities. I will not be reading the full thing. It'll be just plot points to remind me of where I'm at when I tell and we just watched it twice. So I have a pretty good...
I was sick the first time we watched it, and then you...
And I've also seen this episode a bunch of times just in my life, so I kind of have a memory of...
deep core.
So it's kind of like the Rags to Riches pilot, where I can just kind of tell it to you kind of by heart.
Gotcha.
Which I re-listened to that not too long ago. I'm still very impressed that I did that. I was barely looking down at the paper when I was doing that. All right, so we have Simpsons roasting on an open fire. Plot summary, very, very cute title, by the way. It kind of fits because, Homer's ass is under the flame throughout most of the episode. All right, so we open with Homer, Marge, and baby Maggie Simpson.
Oh my gosh!
The star suit that she wears, and I think she wears that throughout the whole series when it's wintertime, like during like a Christmas episode. So cute. They arrive at Springfield Elementary for Bart and Lisa's annual Christmas pageant. Homer and Marge stumble through a full audience to find their seats. They sit down just in time to see Principal Skinner introduce the second grade performances. The children do a presentation of different Santa Clauses from around the world, and then Skinner eventually introduces the fourth grade singing Christmas carols. They sing Jingle Bells, and then you kind of hear Marge talks like, "Oh, look how sweet Bart looks. He sings like an angel." Then they cut to Bart singing the Batman version of Jingle Bells. If you know it, if you know it, you know it. He is then pulled from the performance by Principal Skinner. You kind of see Homer looks pissed, and they're kind of going through the whole, if anyone's ever had to sit through a kid's school pageant of any kind, it feels like an eternity, I'm sure. Because there was one point where it's like now the fifth grade, and Homer's like, oh my God, how many grades do they have at this school? Like, it's really funny because I'm sure every parent feels that way. Once their kid's performance is done, they're like, can I leave now? At the Simpson family home, Marge writes a letter for the Simpson family Christmas cards. As Homer gets out Christmas decorations, and Bart and Lisa are writing their Christmas wish list. In the letter, Marge describes family life. She writes that they lost their cat Snowball, so they got a new cat, Snowball 2. I totally forgot that they had a cat. Maggie is starting to walk. Lisa has straight A's, and Bart, well, we love Bart. Can't really say anything good about Bart because he's a little troublemaker. Marge is interrupted by Homer asking where the extension cord is. Bart and Lisa show Marge their wish list. Lisa wants a pony, but Marge tells her that she's asked for that 3 years in a row, and she must remind her that Santa can't fit a pony in a sleigh. Basically, Lisa, you're never getting a pony. Bart wants a tattoo, and of course, both Homer and Marge object because he's 10. Homer is outside doing very classic Christmas wacky adventure stuff. He's setting up the Christmas lights. The three kids are kind of watching him do it, and then when he tells Marge to turn the lights on, you see like maybe 4 bulbs turn on, and they're like barely flickering. Meanwhile, next door at the Flanders house, he has a huge roof display with a talking Santa and everything. So comparatively, obviously, Homer is not too happy that his Christmas display is not as elaborate as the Flanders. It's also interesting because, once again, I think the Flanders were just supposed to be random neighbors. They had not developed those characters either. I don't even know if they were supposed to be like these Christian do-gooders that they eventually became. Maybe they were just the neighbors that were going to be just competing with the Simpsons on things and stuff like that, because I don't even think the kids were friends with their kids. I don't know. I don't remember. Homer asks Marge so they're getting ready to go Christmas shopping, and Homer asks Marge where she's been keeping the Christmas savings. She says she'll never tell. She makes him turn around, and she pulls a jar out of her hair, because if you know who Marge Simpson is, she has a big old thing of hair. It is a very large jar full of money, impressing Homer. Later at the mall, Marge, Lisa, and Maggie look at gifts together. Bart is off by himself and comes across the Happy Sailor tattoo parlor, and in the window, he sees a tattoo of a heart with the word mother written across it. He imagines that Marge will have a positive reaction to him getting a tattoo, so he runs inside the parlor, gives false information to the tattoo artist about his age, and gets into the chair. Yeah, it was really funny. He was just like, I'm 21. He's like, get in the chair.
I know.
Didn't even need anything. At the Springfield nuclear power plant, Mr. Burns, the plant's owner, announces over the loudspeaker that there will not be any Christmas bonuses this year for unskilled workers, including Homer. Homer sighs as he remembers. Homer's upset, but then he remembers the Christmas jar, so he's like, at least we have that. Back at the mall, Marge hears Bart yell coming from the tattoo parlor, and sees that obviously Bart's getting a tattoo. Immediately pulls him out, brings him to the dermatologist. Dermatologist is like, I can remove it, but it's going to cost you a lot, and I need cash up front, which I don't know if any dermatologists that are asking for cash up front. I mean, 1989 and a convenient plot point, I'm sure, but... So Bart gets the laser removal surgery, and a funny little bit later on where they keep poking his arm, keep saying, ow, quit it.
Ow, quit it. Ow, quit it.
Back at home, Lisa tells Homer what has happened. Homer freaks out. Marge tells him to calm down, that they will have to stretch his Christmas bonus further for the year. Homer fakes relief when Marge mentions his bonus. He tells everyone that this will be the best Christmas ever and steps outside for a walk, choosing to conceal the truth. Once outside, he looks at his poorly decorated house and at Flanders' masterpiece, and a depressed Homer hangs his head in despair on the sidewalk. Yeah, Marge can tell something is wrong, so she asks, like, is everything okay? I feel like every time I bring up the Christmas bonus, like, you're getting weird around me. And instead of telling Marge the truth, he's just like, let me do the Christmas shopping. I'll take care of it. Marge agrees. So the next day, Homer basically goes to, like, a Dollar Tree type place and is getting everyone, like, kind of cheap presents because that's all he can afford. And a little bit later, he goes to Moe's Tavern, and he's drinking a beer when his friend Barney walks in. He's dressed as Santa Claus. He tells Homer that he's been working part-time as a mall Santa and that it's good for extra cash. So Homer's immediately like, well, I can make money that way, so I can go apply for a job as a mall Santa. And he does, which the mall Santa training was really funny when he's naming all the reindeers.
No. What was it? Donna Dixon.
Donna Dixon. Donna and Dixon. Which was
God.
really funny, which made us laugh both times we heard it. Homer finally gets home late at night, and Marge has, been wanting to know where he's been, and he kind of, assures her that, like, his being late, it's for no real reason, that he's tired, he's going to go upstairs. And she reminds him that her sisters are there, Patty and Selma. And I think this is before we had like the chain smoking, man hunting sisters that they became. They were just kind of the cranky sisters at this point in time. They kind of give Patty and Selma kind of give Homer crap for not having a Christmas tree. And so he was like, oh, well, that's what I was about to go do. I was about to go get a Christmas tree. So he's driving past all these Christmas tree places, and it's like each sign, the prices keep getting cheaper and cheaper until finally he goes out into the middle of the woods and grabs a chainsaw, which I guess he already had in his car, and chops down his own Christmas tree. I guess the owner of this land chases him through, shoots at him, and he gets away. They put the Christmas tree up, but Patty and Selma notice that there's a birdhouse in the tree, so obviously it's not a legit Christmas tree.
He's like,
but
this is an ornament.
But because it's such a big elaborate tree, of course the kids love it. So Homer's now working in the mall as a Santa. Bart, Milhouse, and one of their other friends, I don't think he was a significant character, are hanging out at the mall, and they're kind of watching the mall Santa, not knowing that it's Homer. Milhouse dares Bart to take a picture with Santa and pull his beard down. And so he does, not realizing that it's Homer. And then when Bart is like, hey, well, like, why are you a mall Santa? And so Homer tells Bart like what's really going on, and Bart feels bad that he kind of blew his cover. So he goes with Homer to go pick up his check, and Homer is surprised to learn that his net pay is only $13 despite his $120 gross pay. When he questions the cashier, she explains the majority of his check went to pay for the Santa suit and beard, Social Security, unemployment insurance, training, and the Christmas Club account balance. So while depressed Homer sits down to figure out what to do with $13, an excited Barney tells Homer that he's going to the Springfield Downs, like that's like the racetracks where you go and bet. So he invites Homer to come along with him, ensuring a win on the dog Whirlwind. Homer is reluctant, but Bart convinces him to go, citing that this might be their only chance to save the Simpson family Christmas. Back at home, Patty, Selma, Grandpa Simpson, Marge, Maggie, Lisa, they're waiting for Homer and Bart to come home while watching the Happy Little Elves Christmas special. Meanwhile, at the dog track, Barney insists Homer should bet on Whirlwind. After seeing what Whirlwind looks like, Homer is reluctant to bet on him. Just then, an announcement over the PA system: a dog named Santa's Little Helper will be replacing Sir Galahad in the 4th race. Homer takes this as a sign and puts all of his money on Santa's Little Helper, whose odds are 99-1, so that should tell you that he's probably not going to win.
Right.
But, that 99 times 13, kind of thinking about that. Homer and Bart anxiously await the running of the 4th race. As the race begins, Homer and Bart cheer on Santa's Little Helper, but Whirlwind, Barney's pick, is out to an early lead, with Santa's Little Helper bringing up the rear. Homer and Bart quickly realize their chances of winning any money are dashed as Santa's Little Helper finishes last. Bart and Homer head back to their car when off in the distance they see a racing dog owner scolding Santa's Little Helper and sending him away for losing once again. Santa's Little Helper leaps up into Homer's arms. Bart asks Homer if they can keep the dog. He's reluctant at first, but Homer quickly warms up to Santa's Little Helper when he licks his face. Back at the Simpson home, while everyone still waits Bart and Homer's return, a sad-looking Homer arrives and starts to confess to everyone about the fact that he didn't receive his Christmas bonus and apologizes for the lack of presents. However, Bart interrupts Homer by introducing the family to Santa's Little Helper and watches the hound run into the room barking. Everyone ignores Homer and falls in love with Santa's Little Helper. Marge forgives Homer, and he realizes that in the end, he has done a good job providing gifts at Christmas for the Simpson family. A photo of the happy family is then taken. End of episode. Very cute, very wholesome, considering kind of what the Simpsons kind of became a little later on, being more edgy, more controversial, but you can kind of tell that was the route that they were going in this first episode.
Oh, yeah. It was a little sassy, a little sweet, right. Family.
And that was kind of what the Simpsons were. Is people were kind of considering it to be this controversial show, but there were so many sweet episodes. There were so many sweet moments.
Oh my gosh, all the kids were sweet. I mean, Homer was sassy, but what kid this day is not sassy?
Bart.
Right.
You said Homer.
Oh, shoot. Bart, yes.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, so, I mean, it's The Simpsons. If you haven't watched The Simpsons at this point, watch it, I guess. I mean, like,
Start now,
and maybe one day you'll finish it. But yeah, I mean this show is this show is a millennial classic. The show is just a classic in general. I kind of forgot how much I loved this show, and it made me want to kind of go back and watch like specific episodes later on in the series when the show was more developed. There were a lot that would play more frequently. There were the Halloween specials, the Treehouse of Horrors, where it was like always an anthology where they would kind of parody horror movies and Twilight Zone episodes, and those were always my favorites because, you know, I love horror movies. And yeah, so go on Disney Plus or Hulu if you want to watch some of The Simpsons.
I mean, if you watch 2 episodes a day for a year, you'd practically be caught up.
Yeah.
I mean, just like that, honestly.
Yeah, and just like that.
And just like that.
Yeah, so I think that about wraps up this one. What do you think?
I think that was fun.
Right.
I didn't think we would talk this long, but per usual, we had a lot to say.
Always wrong about that. All right.
I know.
All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. You leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, I have for later on the donut, the nuclear symbol, the star for Maggie, the chalkboard and the skateboard later on because those become significant in the opening, the heart for the tattoo, the deer for the reindeer, the Christmas tree, the Santa Claus, any of the music symbols, the envelope for their wish lists, the cat emoji, the house, the cash for the savings and the bonus that they had to spend, and finally the dog for the puppy that they got at the end. All right, well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.